I'm working with kids who have a diagnosis of autism, before I try and add up any strategy or any exercise, it's important to check if the child is breathing fine or not. It may sound breathing, what am I talking about? But I want to talk about this in today's video. My name is Reena Singh. I'm an occupational therapist. I've been working with families for the last 25 years. And what I have observed is that when a child has a diagnosis of autism, I mean, at least I used to just see it as sensory diet and some exercises that need to be given to a child. But it is so much more than that. The pattern of tension and stress is held in the body. A lot of kids that I know have their shoulders close to the ears, and this is how their position is. Most of them have a very fast breathing, the breathing pace is very fast. Some of them have a lot of holding of breath, and it's very important that we work on breathing. Of course, we work on sensory diet, we work on vestibular, proprioceptive, tactile, we work on primitive reflex integration, we do a lot of all of those strategies. But before that, we always check for breathing. If the child is holding breath or having a shallow breath and telling your child, come on, relax, it's okay, breathe well, come on, calm down, it is not going to help the child. Whatever exercises you put, if the body is stiff and holding breath, the regulation, that is the result, that is the outcome that we are looking at when we are providing the sensory diet, becomes very difficult for a child. So, what I wanted to talk about was how can we help with the breathing. We just had a class last week in the app. It was on breathing, and most of the parents, they took videos of their kids while doing the exercises, and they were working on breathing. And one parent mentioned, like, and these videos that I saw, most of the kids were holding their breath. They had like a, upward tilted body. When they were lying down, there was gap between the lower back and the floor, so there was a gap there. And children were holding on to their breath. One parent that I remember, when we did exercises only related to breathing, not only, mainly focused on that, we saw that this child was more regulated, more comfortable, eating well, sleeping well. So breath is very, very, very important, and it affects all areas of our functioning. And if you're working on and you're providing sensory diet but not focusing on breath, then somewhere you need to add up the strategies or exercises that I would tell you right now, and I'll show you some videos. But I'm not saying that this is the only thing. You have to combine it with other things, but begin with breath. So, what are the ways that we can work on breath? Let me share some videos with you. Simply being in the water up to the chest level also helps with a deep breath, because there's pressure on the rib cage, which makes the which makes it makes you breathe deeper. Yeah, so that's another thing. Here is another video where I was working with this girl, and she's doing a very simple exercise which we call as pencil rolling. And see, this is all that she's doing, putting her hands in the front and doing something like pencil rolling. This also helps with breathing. So these are certain exercises that I would do with a child, okay? And yeah, going on both the sides. Now she's put her hands down. It's always preferred to keep the hands up so that you're opening up the lungs, you know. Here's another video where this boy was allowed to explore in the water. He's trying to make a somersault, but there's pressure. So, the earlier video that I showed you was with all of us, but this boy is just left in a shallow side of the pool, and he's playing around, being in the water. Everyone else is swimming. So, if you can just provide this kind of an opportunity to just be in the water, even that helps immensely. See, he's going round and round, anything that the child likes doing in the water. Here's another video where I'm just putting my hands on my forehead, and this is called ESR, emotional stress release points. So if you're holding on to these points, it helps the child to take a nice deep breath. So it is very helpful. You can do this while your child is sleeping or just before the child wakes up in the morning. This can be added up. Here is an inhaler that I made. So I can take, like, you get these kinds of inhalers on Amazon. So I'm just going to show you how I made it. So you're not buying like a chemical filled inhaler, but this is like the lid which you can open. This seems to be a little too tight because I had made it tight enough. So this way, and then you have something like a wick in here. You can put an essential oil in it, something like peppermint, or something of that, or peppermint, and or maybe lavender, and you can use this. So you can use like a peppermint and a lavender, and then you put a few drops in it and then close it, and then you can use it for breathing. So this is one more way that I can work on using an inhaler, basically teaching a child to use an inhaler, you know, breathing in from the nose, out from the mouth, doing it just before bedtime, you know, that kind of an activity. So this is one more thing, you can take your child in the pool and your child is just blowing on the surface of the water because there's pressure coming on the rib cage, on the chest. The child is breathing deeper, and the child is blowing, so that also helps. Okay, and you can make various shapes on the surface of water. This is another thing. There's a ball that he has to push from one glass to the other. This also works on breathing, blowing. So you can add up these kinds of activities. Blowing onto a harmonica or a mouth organ is something that I would incorporate. Taking a child out in the nature, going for those walks, because where the child is actually breathing that nice fresh air is something that really helps, because there's natural aroma of the trees around, which is very grounding. Now, this is another activity, climbing up on these kinds of things. Whenever we take our hands up like this, how he's taking up, it helps us to open up our lungs. So, any activity where the hands go overhead, helps with breathing. So, this is another activity. Here's a video where I'm just smelling fresh flowers, if that's instead of essential oils. This is one more activity. It's like, if you keep a ball behind, if the child keeps a ball behind, and if the child is rolling, this is another way by which we can help with breathing, because it kind of, the aim is that the ball should not fall down and the child rolls, and the child can keep the hands up or the child can keep the hands where I am. It was very difficult for me. This is another way where the hands are up and I'm rolling. This really helps with deep breathing. So these are beautiful. You can pick up any one activity that helps with breathing. And here's another one, the pencil rolling that this little girl was doing. You can do it in a barrel also. So these were some activities that I wanted to share with you on how to work on breathing reflexes and how to help your child, that kind of, when the child is breathing fine, and then you work on whatever primitive reflex integration, or you work on anything, like a sensory diet or a proprioceptive activity, then because the body is nice and relaxed, those inputs are processed well. But if you're doing it with a stiff body, it is it takes longer for a child to feel more regulated. So work on breath first. If you have any queries, you could message me, put it in the community, in the comment, and I will reply back to them. I hope this was helpful. If you want more details on how you can use breathing, then I have detailed courses, detailed discussions in my app. You can join the app, and we could meet weekly. Thank you.